Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters Corner. I'm Amriya and I'm privileged to be joined by my sister Rifat Rehman, who is going to talk to us about a very personal journey from leaving Pakistan and making England, UK, Bradford her home. So at the moment there's lots of talk about how Muslim women are not participating for various reasons. Sometimes can be a drain of resources, and what I want to do is have a good chat with my friend Rifat here and actually maybe explore and bust some of those myths. So Assalamu alaikum Rifat.
Wa alaikum salam.
And welcome. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out, because I know you're juggling a career and a family and everything else.
Oh no, it's my pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. So, as you know, and I was saying earlier, there's lots of stuff in the media at the moment, lots of people talking about how Muslim women are oppressed and they're held back, and the transcontinental marriages don't help, so we're importing poverty, we're not bringing bright sparks over, etc. So I thought it'd be really nice for us to just have a bit of a chat. Actually, I have lots of people in my life, who are from other countries, who've settled here, who've had families, who I would in no way, shape or form ever describe as a drain on resources. So I just wanted to invite yourself here, and I know you've been here for 28 years and then some. And what was your journey? So do you want to start by telling me about where you've come from?
I'm from Pakistan, and a small village in Pakistan. I brought up my secondary education is from Pakistan, and I got married when I came to Bradford. And basically, I couldn't speak a word of English. Whether you believe it or not, all this media, what I say, the women don't progress, they don't do it. But I did have a basic English education. I've started it from doing GCSE English, maths, to doing my A-levels, and then I finished my degree in Leeds Uni, doing social and community studies, and I've been working for council past 18 years. And I do believe there is still a long way to go. There are some gaps where we don't get the support, or we might blame the society, or we might blame the in-laws or whatever. But I think it's your own basically journey is what you can make.
So basically, you just made that sound in like a minute there. You made it sound really easy. You got married, you came here, and you quickly. It's not as easy as it sounds sometimes, is it? So just, if you would, just explore with me a little bit more. So you got married. How old were you when you got married?
19, just turned 20.
Right. And what were you doing at the time? Were you studying? You were saying your secondary education.
Yeah, I was in I've just finished my matric, and then I just got married and came here and.
And am I right in thinking, you've mentioned this to me before, that you were quite an activist in Pakistan, and you were quite interested in social justice?
Yeah, I always had in my mind why the women don't have the same right as everybody else, and whenever I see the women not getting the education, and I always question why these young girls not allowed to get education. And when I see the women are suffering because of whatever reason, what I've seen was suffering, and I did work for some of the women's rights and stuff, and I did open this school where I was teaching illiterate women, and just even they can read and write names, but I found it was quite difficult sometimes, as their parents won't allow them to get educated. But my message is, my mum let me have some secondary education, and look how I achieved way better. If you don't have a basic education, you can't do any better, and that is something I'm really passionate about. Parents letting girls to get educated. And
it's such an Islamic thing anyway. It's we're supposed to go and seek knowledge. The Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, actually encouraged education. So sometimes there is a little bit of a mismatch between our cultural understanding of what we should be doing and what it is. But that was 28 years ago.
That's 28 years ago. And since then, a lot moved on. But if there are still some gaps, we can, help and support those sisters, or we can, help to understand the parents sometimes. Education is our Islamic thing. It's not something new, modern thing.
It's
an
right,
Islam.
and our duty, actually.
And if you read about first word of is IQRA, basically read.
Absolutely.
And this is something I always kept in my head, like, you know, education is for everybody, not just for men, it's for women and men and girls. And I think the more we support the women or girls to get educated, the more we can support.
Absolutely. And for me, I think with education as well, particularly for women, is whether or not a woman and her family decide together that she's going to work and have a career, or, you know, that's up to them.
Yeah,
but actually, if you're raising children in this country, in Pakistan, India, America, wherever, you do need, mothers do need a good sound basis. Dads do as well, actually. You know, if you want to raise, you know, good, kind, you know, faithful young people, then you do need to have some knowledge yourself as well.
I've came across lots of sisters, and you know, the mothers will go, young children going to school or going to they couldn't speak English, and this is what I always said: is education is not just you go get a career, have a job. It's for yourself. You can help your children. And sometimes I think we misunderstand when we say to sisters who can't speak English, or the mothers, you've been here for a long time, oh, you need to learn English. It's not the need to learn English for somebody else. It's for themselves and the kids. They can understand, because sometimes kids talking English all the time, they don't know what they're talking. And you know, when they go into their parents' evening, they go into anything to do with the children, if they don't understand what is going on, how can they help? And that is one of the message to mother, just do it for your kids. Absolutely. You know, you don't need to go get a job. Everybody doesn't want to work. And that's, you know, some people have degrees and degrees, or, you know, and they don't want to work. And that is okay.
Absolutely. But and from all backgrounds. It's not just Muslim women who don't work. I mean, if you can afford not to, and you're, you know, contributing to society in other ways, I don't see why that's an issue. So, but before we move on, so you got married at 19, 20, and then you came to this country. Do you know, what did it feel like for you at the time, you know, when your parents said, right, you know, we've got you a rishta and he's from UK, were you excited at the prospect of coming to another country, or were you a bit scared and worried about leaving your family?
I'll be honest, like a lot of people, I've been very happily married. So, and a lot of friends and everybody I made, they think I've had a love marriage, I'm from here. But I've had arranged marriage, my parents arranged it all. And as a girl growing up in that culture, sometimes, I'm not saying in here they wouldn't accept whatever, but I accepted what my parents were proposing. And when I saw his photograph and I met him, and I thought, that's okay, that's quite okay.
He'll do.
Yeah, he was well educated, and I don't think, you know, I would have said no to my dad, because I've just respected his authority. But I was the lucky one. Again, as another message I want to give is, I was lucky when I was a well-educated man, and, you know, he supported me all the way. But then again, there's a lot of forced marriages happening, and people get mistaken with arranged marriage and the forced marriage, and that is not fair with those young couples.
You're saying you got lucky. There is some, you know, it's destiny as well, and God wills. But then also your father will have made an effort to find you a good match. You know, so understanding who you are and what you're like, and you sound like you were quite a feisty character, you know. So finding someone of an equal match to you, I think that's really important when you. There's nothing wrong with an arranged marriage, because so long as both people have a chance to say
what is wrong is forced marriage. You know, when you force your children, then basically it doesn't work. You know, they've been forced into something, but that's another issue. You know, we're talking about different, but that's something, you know, that we just want our sisters and our mothers and the brothers to understand, you know, the cultural difference. And if the children are saying no, then it's okay to say no and move on to, you know, whoever they want to marry.
Yeah, and I mean, the other concept of shura, which is consultancy, and you should consult your family. So
and that's
such
Islamic.
A big deal. Yeah, such a big deal. Marriage is such a big deal. So obviously you want, and ultimately you want to leave a companion for your children, someone who'll care for them, look after them, you know, support them. And if there is an element of choice in that, where they work with you, so there's lots of different ways to do arranged marriages these days.
And the hostility come with an end when you have children, and they see that hostility, and they, you know, don't see the respect, and we can see some issues where they can affect the children. And that is the Islamic way as well. You know, in our
Yeah.
Prophet ﷺ said, you know, you have to consult your children.
Absolutely. So you got married. Well, you met
Yeah.
this charming young
Yeah,
man. You
yeah.
know, highly
Came
educated.
to Bradford.
Yeah, and you
I'll be honest,
hopped
like,
on your plane and came
yeah,
to.
it was,
yeah.
as soon as I look at Bradford, it just reminded me of home. And it might be because of the greenery, the mountains, you know, because when I went to London afterwards, and it was just, you know, level place, but Bradford was beautiful. I saw so many people here and there. But my husband was living in Norwich as well. I went to live in Norwich, and it was middle of nowhere for a bit. But Bradford just touched my heart, and I said to him, you have to move to Bradford, and I want to live in Bradford. And also for the opportunity, because like I've said, I couldn't speak English. I wanted to learn. I wanted to do something with myself, because what I've seen back home, I didn't want to be one of those women sitting here then crying over like I can't do it. But then again, that is another message. If you want to do something, you will find a way. It wasn't easy. I remember standing in Bradford College and thinking, oh my God, how can I ask all these questions and what? But slowly, you know, I've done my GCSE, I've done A-levels, I went to uni, but with my husband's support, if the brothers don't support their wives, then they won't be able to achieve what they need to achieve. But my husband benefited because I'm working, I'm paying off of his bill. He won't say I pay much, but and
I'm contributing in lots of different ways.
Different ways. He doesn't have to drive me around. He doesn't have to go to my doctor's, hospitals, things like that for the brothers. Sometimes I think they're scared of. I don't know what it is, because we still see some women not getting out to learn. Just learn for your sake and your children's sake.
It's just a different way of being, isn't it? Because I mean, some people, like I have a few sisters, and two of them, you know, don't work. They love their role as homemaker, as mother. They cherish it, you know. And alhamdulillah, they're happy. Their husbands are happy. You know, that works for them. Yeah, exactly. That's what they're comfortable with. I obviously work, and I'm out and about all days, all hours, whatever. And like you say, there's, you know, I'm not dependent on my husband. So although some people will look at that and go, oh my God, she's just, you know, he hasn't got control over. It's not about control, is it? It's about equal relationships, and him also recognizing, well, yeah, she's not dependent, which is great, because then you're not having to drag me around, or vice versa.
And you can spoil your children and your family. I've got 3 boys. I've got 21 years old. I've got 19 years old, and I've got 11 years old, and 2 of them are eldest one at university, youngest at school. But if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to support them if I was at home or working, whatever, because I've got the level of education. I know what they're doing. I'm supporting them all the way, you know, even when they were deciding for the universities and stuff, you know, because I've been through that, you know, university level education. I knew what they need to do, how to fill the forms or things. But that's the only thing I'm saying to some of the sisters. You know, it's not just all about the job. It's how you can support your children. And we can see sometimes all the negativity about the youngster but I'm not saying all those youngsters are the children of the mothers who don't speak English. No, but what I'm saying is you can support those children.
It just helps a little bit, so doesn't it? If you can have a conversation, if you can try and understand.
Yeah, understand their way of thinking.
Because culture, language can be quite a barrier, and we talk a bit about culture being transmitted, you know, with language. So if we don't, a lot of the children now growing up don't necessarily learn to speak the mother tongue as well, not as much, you know. So it's hard
and I'm guilty of that, because I was from Pakistan, and I was trying to all the time practice my English and to stay with English friends or whoever the friends were that speaking English. My husband speaking, and my children lost their mother tongue. I'm trying my best now to bring it back, but I've lost a little bit. And it's easy. We can just lose, and that is very important to keep it.
So you came and settled in Bradford, of all the places in the world.
As a brief, and I still love it.
I
wouldn't go anywhere from Bradford. I love Bradford.
Oh, so do
I. Love Bradford. I love Bradford.
Absolutely, yes. I love it as well, I must say. So, you know, you were talking about when you decided to go off to college to learn English. How did you do that? Was it, you know, in your local college, or did you just wander off on your own and decide, that's it, I'm going to do it for myself?
No, I found out from another friend, Bradford College, and then they said they've got another branch of Bradford College called Bolton Royal College, and they do courses on English language. Like I've said, I've started from English language, and then I did GCSE, but they used to call ABLE course, Access to Bilingual Employment, and then I did 1 year that course, and I met lovely people, and one of the teachers I have to mention, I call Louise Hamilton, and she one day spoke to me and she said, you can do better, you can go further and go for a girl, and that is sometimes we need, you know, when we're talking about, we have to look at every avenue, like why some system might be not able to, because they didn't get the support. How we can support them, the people we able, like whenever, that's the reason I came in here, whoever I see, whoever I meet, and if I see those sisters need, and I always tell them, you know, this place, they do English language, you know, this place, they do this, just to get pumper them and say, you know, you can do it. And I think, you know, and my husband, I will give him a credit, he supported me all the way. If he would have said, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it does put pressure on you to just run the family home and not to do it. And then I did the ABLE course, then I did Access to Education, another course, and then it was equivalent to 3 A-level. It's called Mature Student, and then I went to Leeds Uni, and I still remember the man who interviewed me, and he said, do you want to do a social work degree, or do you? I said, I want to work for community, because before that I was always doing a lot of voluntary work for different reasons or different topic. I always done some voluntary work. And I said, I don't want to do a social work. I want to do something to do with the social and community studies type of degree. That was just career advisor. And now I ended up in social care working, but that was my decision. But sometimes where life, you know, and it takes you, but you make better out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about this volunteering that you used to do.
I used to work at Asian Women's Centre. Now it becomes a children's centre, and I met so many sisters who were from back home, and they couldn't even read and write those letters. They were coming from home, and I used to read and write letters, and I said, oh, I wish, you know, they could have had the opportunity.
So they couldn't read and write
their
letters in
was
Urdu.
coming from Urdu either. And that was another thing, and there was a lot of issue, I will say, there was issues of like domestic violence and all these, and I did support them to say how to make a better life at home, what they need to do, how they can protect themselves, and what their rights are. They didn't even know what their rights are in this country. And this is something for the brothers and the sisters. You know, we're not here to say who's right and who's wrong, just to respect for each other, and they are somebody's sister, they're somebody's daughter, even they're coming from back home, but they are somebody's mothers. And
sadly, I don't know if you're aware, you will be aware of that, but you know, there's a huge resurgence in work around modern day slavery, which is, you know, people who are and this isn't just specific to the South Asian community or Muslims in any way, shape or form, but it's people, you know, they could be like coming from Europe, from Poland, from Slovakia, who are then, you know, kept in homes, work without any pay or very little pay, the passports taken off them. And there's been a few cases that have been prosecuted in the country where people have come over to, they've been forced to work in restaurants, you know, their passports taken off them. So that's the sort of modern day slavery. But the other angle to that is, unfortunately, in a very small minority, at least I hope it's a very small minority, that's what I think it is, where sometimes daughter-in-laws do come over and they are kept almost like slaves, where their only job is to cook, clean and tidy, and that's what some of it is then is physically violent.
What really touches me, because they're seen as a second class, you know, to their own family, because they can speak English and they're from here, and because I've been through it, because sometimes might be the whole family only speak English, and the person who's coming in the family, he doesn't speak English, and if the whole family is talking into the language, the person is not understanding. Their level of confidence straight away, even the well educated, because if you don't speak the language, you know English, read and write, but understanding, you know, if we can read and write a bit of Urdu, but if you go back, you know, and somebody talking Urdu, you wouldn't understand. And this is something might be, we need to change ourselves. We can't blame the society or education system. They're not providing. We can start it from home. If you do want somebody from back home, first of all, put some plan in a, in a place. We will speak English with her, but we will teach her this way. We're going to support her to get educated. We're going to support her to, be in this society as us, not as a second class. And this is what I continue meeting.
But then, if you think about it, when you make friends, Rifat, you make friends who are like you, so you want to be able to have mutual understanding, you want to have mutual respect, you want to enjoy similar kind of things. So if you do that with friends, why wouldn't you do it with your life partner? The mother of your child or the father of your child. You absolutely want someone that you can enjoy each other's company, obviously have respect for, but then also oppression, I think it's called zulm. We're not supposed to do it either Islamically, are we? So whether it's in the home or whether it's out in society or whether it's with your employees, if you have
I'm not expert, but I always question that because I continue seeing suffering of some of the women, and it really hurts me. And I'm still questioning, because if the in-laws bring in those daughters, but their son must have agreed to it. But don't call me wrong here, because it's not just the ladies. We know there are men suffering too, who come here as a,
and because they're quite isolated sometimes.
And they're more isolated than the girls, and that is another question. If you do want to marry their daughter or son from back home, I'm not saying Pakistan, Bangladesh, any country, do respect their rights as well and be open to them. But if you don't accept their rights, like they're their daughter-in-law, they have some rights, they've got right with their husband, and then just get a slave who can basically
get a maid. If you
yeah.
really need someone to help with the housework. If I could afford one, I would have one, but
I would love to. When I go back home and I'll see my mum's house, everybody's working, these people, and they pay them. But then you have that basically a maid. It's the person you bring in for your son or a daughter. That's why I'm going to mention both, because I've seen the brothers suffering too. Then you need to support them. And that question to the brothers who married to the woman and the girls who married to the boy.
One of the things, we're going to go to a break, Rifa, in a couple of minutes, but one of the things that I'd like us to talk about a little bit is, what is a healthy marriage, because the reason I'm saying that is we've got so many good examples from the Prophet's time, how he was with his wives and daughters, and then throughout history, and then actually if we look at some of the ways, the very traditional expectations of marriages still, and then the other thing is, I kind of like now there's so many younger sort of like scholars and sheikhs, who are giving some really good quality marital advice, which is what it is to be a decent wife and what it is to be a decent husband. And it is a mutual thing. Respect. It's 50-50. It's not, one or the other. And I do think slowly things are changing, but we need to carry on. And I think one of the things that might be worthwhile us talking about a little bit is how just because it happened to us when, this is what people say, and I've heard people say, well, I lived like that. My mother-in-law treated me like that, so I'm going to do the same. But actually the power is in us. We can change at any point, inshallah, by the grace of God, we can change. So we'll pick up that in a minute. So inshallah, we'll talk to you in a few minutes.